Hello, Kate. How are you? I am here. Hi, John. Nice to see you both here. Thanks for being patient with me. I tried to come on at about 3, but I was having some super irritating. I was having some super irritating computer problems today. How did we know? Everyone's shining. It's so good. Yeah, so I have my setup, right? My little box. Behind my box, outside of the box, is where the computer, the desktop actually sits, and that's where all the connections are and the outlet. So my laptop, I mean, the desktop used to be just fine, just fine. And now all of a sudden, it refuses to go on. I can unplug it from everything and go and plug it in at a different outlet, and it works just fine. If I try to run an extension cord to that outlet where it ran just fine, nothing works. If I unplug everything else that was on a little power strip and I remove that and I plug that in at the other one, that all works fine. And so the desktop apparently has to be the only thing plugged into that outlet, and I think that what that means is that in a couple weeks, I'm going to call the electrician and be like, hey, I need you to solve a problem for me. But I'm not doing it right now because I just don't have time. Hello, nice to see you here, Marcus. And Likens, it's so good to have you all. Yeah, it's the most frustrating thing because I'll plug it in and sometimes it'll just start flashing and the fan will move a half something. It'll try to go, the light will flash. Oh, I don't understand it. If I understood it, it would be fine, because then I could fix it, right? But I don't understand it, so who the heck knows what's going on? Yeah, it might be. So I really like my electrician. When I had my kitchen redone, they did all the stuff. So I'm just going to have them come in and fix it. This house has some very bizarre electrical issues. It has light switches that do absolutely nothing. They're the kind that are maybe supposed to turn on a light that's out in an outlet. No, the outlets are fine all on their own. The switch does nothing at all. There's at least 2 of them that I can think of. Maybe, no, 3. There's 3. There's one in the kitchen, one by the front door, and one in my bedroom. And they do nothing, literally nothing. There's a switch next to my closet. The light goes on, the other one, up and down, up and down, up and down, nothing. So, that'd be perfect. I need some evidence of that. I need some evidence of somebody randomly falling into trance every time I flip that switch. It would be fine if this were a 1920s house, because then I'd be like, oh, the wiring's really old. I grew up in a house that was really old, and it had those, push buttons. So there's a little button up there, you just, push the button to turn it on and off. Yeah, this house is normal. It was built in, late 1970s, and it really ought to just work. I don't understand. Anyway, I'm gonna leave the electrical stuff to somebody else. Plumbing, I totally get. Electrical, not my cup of tea. But as I said, the electrician that I usually work with, it's father and son. They're usually really good, so I'm gonna call them in a week or so. We'll see what happens. I'm sure it'll all be fine. I'm sure everything will be fine. I just don't want the house burning down. I feel like that's a small request. You should be able to plug in a computer that's not even a supercomputer and just make things work. So, sorry for burdening you with my problems. How can I help you feel better today? Yes, I'll just go get something that helps you do that. Oh, I don't want to leave you all. That would be so rude, but I do. No, I'm gonna leave you. I have something to show you. Just hold on a second. Don't go anywhere. I promise it'll probably be worth it. Yeah. Okay, so I have this mirror, right? It looks like a regular mirror. Now you can see what my desktop looks like. Cool, right? Mirror. Okay, it's got a little button on the back. I turn it on. I don't know if that is as cool for you as it is for me. Oh, the reflection is dreadful. Let me see if I can get rid of some of these things. No, that's not any better. But I wanted to show you all. Yeah, I got it. Oh, there we go. That's good. I can sort of move that around a little bit and not get the glare from the screen. I thought it would be fun to have us all give it. I can't quite hang it on the wall. I'm going to move it away, so just watch out. I thought it would be fun if I could either get it to change what it was doing. So like if it had a program, that would be pretty nifty, right? Or if I could hang it like back here, but I can't. There's a glass pane back here, so I unfortunately don't think I could hang that. No, don't run away. Stay where you are. It's a trap. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. I am going to do a toys episode one day. I'm going to just like get outside my little space and show you all. I'll probably have to pre-record it, but I'll show you all the fun toys that I have. And I have this thing that I've had for a really long time, but it's like an OG, old school hypnosis, like actual hypnotherapist kind of device. And I am working on getting, I've already upgraded it so that it doesn't require D batteries anymore. It used to require like 2 or 3 D batteries, and like just seems terribly inefficient. So I had it electrified, and it can speed up or slow down. And I'm having some different things put into it. Anyway, I hope you guys all like it. I've got some other things. I'm not doing that just yet. Yes, the shiny traps are really my favorite thing. So I cleaned everything that was in here the other day out. Why did I do it? Oh, because I got a new microphone, and I wanted to make sure that, I know I'm moving around a lot. I wanted to make sure that the microphone was going to have like all the room it needed to, to be in the right space. And I have like an arm here that's a low profile arm. I can't really show you guys well, so you're just going to have to take my word for it. I love crystals. Like, I am such a huge fan of them. Again, I've cleared everything out. I feel terrible because I was like, oh, it's 2:30. I should start getting ready. And then you all know what happened, or you know enough of what happened and you don't want to hear about it anymore. So anyway, good. I'm glad that it does. Thank you for letting me know. Oh, yeah, I have no rings here either. So I have, oddly enough, the only extraneous thing that is in this space, other than the book that I used for last week, is please, no, oh wait, I do have one ring. I have one ring in here. I'll put it on because why not? I think you've all seen it, but the only thing I have in here that I have an excessive amount of, I'll show you so you can laugh with me, is an extraordinary amount for one person of lip gloss, lip stain, chapstick, etc. Right? These are all the same kind of chapstick because I buy them in bulk from Chapstick directly. And I'm sure you're thrilled. You're all absolutely thrilled with the amount of lip stuff I have. But That's the only other thing in here that could possibly hypnotize. I'm not discounting it, by the way. I am not discounting it. So I will stock this thing up for the next time I'm here, which will not be until the second weekend in May. So I guess the 12th. Right? like, like those 10mm sockets are just good for everything. Here we go. I'll just, some nice gold to go on top of the red. But yeah, those 10mm sockets, like, what do you get? Like 20 of them, 30 of them, and then you're down to like one when you absolutely need it. So anyway. Anyway, thank you for being here, folks. It's so nice to see members. I really appreciate that you're here. It's so nice to see people that I've seen week after week. I really appreciate that too. I would love to know if there's anything special on your mind today that you're like, oh, can't we talk about this thing right here? So I was asking, and someone was like, oh, you should totally talk about subject agency. And I talk about that all the time, right? And I think that you know, there's just such a, tell me if this is you. Like, do you have a fantasy that completely disregards, if you're a subject, that completely disregards subject agency? Like, do you sort of objectively know that you should have the ability to say no to anything that's suggested, and yet you love the idea of having somebody just swoop in and do the mind control, brainwashy hypnosis? Yes, we can absolutely talk about the hypnotic handshakes. Yeah, like CNC type stuff. So here's a fascinating thing. Patreon, I may have already talked about this, but Patreon has basically said CNC is verboten. You can't do anything that talks about that at all. I know it's happening, but there we go. Brainwashing always sounds hot to me. Like, I do a lot of brainwashing in the Patreon. I mean, there's a lot of things that I have done anyway that are brainwashing related. Because there's something about brainwashing that's just like the idea that you used to be thinking one way about something, and now you think a totally different way about something, and you don't even know when it started to happen, and you're not sure how it started to happen, and all of a sudden the idea that is now in your head just is like the hottest thing ever. It's the best thing ever. It's, if you had to think about it, you'd be like, oh, I've always thought this way. Or you could like even plan back, you know, go back and figure out where this idea came from. And it doesn't matter because, you know, these are your thoughts now. So, and I like that whole these are your thoughts now idea. Okay. If you had to have one thought that was this is my thought now, I guess I'm just going to go with it no matter what you had thought before, what would that have been? That's pretty funny, John. I didn't like brainwashing, now I love it. I was so wrong. Aw. mm. I also, I mean, you know, I love amnesia. It's like, so for me, amnesia is like the perfect, if you're a brand new hypnotist or if you're a subject, I feel like it is the best convincer out there. To forget you have done a thing is like, or to make somebody or to help someone's unconscious understand that they can forget that they've done a thing. I mean, when I went to the first NIHU, that was my, like, it was like an open source kind of thing, right? And I remember that my suggestion was amnesia. Like, I I love that thought of not having this understanding of what you've done or why, and maybe not even a realization that you've done it. I think it's fascinating that you can do that. So, I think it depends on some level. Like, what is the type of thing that you could find yourself forgetting? Like, because we are great at forgetting things. Like, it's literally programmed into how we are, because if you remembered everything, it's like a burden. We just take in too much information for our unconscious selves to be able to pass it all on to our conscious brain. Like, literally, there's huge swaths of stuff that we forget every day. So, what are some things that your brain says temporarily it would be okay for me to forget doing X, Y, or Z, for our British friends here today? So, what are the things that your brain might go, it would be okay if I forgot this? And then say, okay, unconscious, for, say, the next 20 minutes, you can put information about this thing into that same category as other stuff we already like to forget. And I don't know what other stuff you might like to forget, but your brain probably has a good idea of the stuff that you don't normally know. So it's like your brain just is like, okay, we're simply going to put this in like a little holding bin. Our conscious self has no awareness of it, and that's going to allow us to have amnesia for a certain specific time about a certain specific thing, and then we don't have to fuss with it anymore. Like, it sounds simple enough, right? Distraction is also pretty good. What was the first thing you found yourself forgetting, John, if you remember that? And yes, so one of the fun things that you can do, Kate, is to have your conscious self intently focused on something else. Like, that's it. So your conscious self basically puts almost every bit of their attention on this other thing, and then has forgotten that you've done something else, and then that can often work for a lot of things. Names of people you met once and don't need to remember. Yes, right? So I have to tell you that my memory used to be super great, and now I've started to let a lot of things go. Like, I just don't. There's too much, literally too much going on. But I was working at a job once, and there was this person that came in all the time. They hadn't been in for a while, maybe even like 6 months to a year. I don't know. But I knew their name because we would like take it down when we did jobs for them. So he comes in with his mother later, and so he's walking the door. They're walking the door together. They're passing by the counter, and I call him by name. I say, hey, so-and-so. I don't remember what it is anymore because that was a long time ago. And he was like absolutely flabbergasted that I had remembered his name. So remembering somebody's name, it can be super powerful, but you don't always need to do it. Like, has it served me in any other way than to talk about it? No. But I do like to think that my unconscious mind knows that there are enough things that it can remember and enough things that it can let go. So one of the things about sleeping at night, and I've been talking about this for years, but I've definitely seen some new surveys on it. So if you wanted to look it up, you probably could. I've seen some stuff in the last couple months, I think. But essentially, when we sleep at night, our brains and our bodies get together and they decide all the stuff that we don't need. So it like flushes out all sorts of junk through, I believe, via the brain stem and all the brain fluid that's there, the spinal fluid. And it just is like, okay, we don't need this stuff anymore. And it flushes it out our kidneys. So, which I think is a fascinating process because there are so many different things that we need. And I'd like to think that maybe we can do that sort of thing with amnesia type stuff too. So if there's some stuff that you absolutely don't need, like the studies that I've read talk about how important things are put into this place where then they can get put into long-term storage in our brain, but we don't exactly understand the way that our brain stores memories. It's not just a place that they're stored. They're usually stored in every one of our senses. So maybe, like, I ask you to remember the smell of something, and all of a sudden you're thinking of grandma's house, or you're thinking about something in school, or you're thinking about a thing at work. Like the thing that just popped into my head was not the smell, because I don't remember the smell at all, but somebody either making popcorn at this office building that I worked in. It was the most dreadful thing ever. I sat too close, or my cute little cube desk was too close to the little lunch room that we had, and that's when I started working from home. And I never really went back. I went back once, and somebody had stolen stuff out of my desk because I literally never went into the office anymore. Um, it was fine. It was totally fine. I didn't care. I haven't missed it. But I just think it's funny that, like that the memory of that smell brings me back to that exact place, and I can see it pretty clearly. So, uh, yeah. So saving pictures or words somewhere, and they trigger you. Yeah, I like that too. Like the idea that you could um, have this desire to like go through a folder or go through a book, and then there's a thing and it says, I don't know, can you imagine you're just flipping through pages on this book that you're reading, and uh, I don't know, maybe it says go back to this passage and you read this, exciting passage again, or maybe it says something like um, maybe it tells you to drop into trance. I don't know. um, or maybe it tells you to think about a passage that you read and to let your unconscious mind act it out for you as if you were one of those characters. Let's see. Forget. Yeah. Yeah, you can. Ooh, if I was going to forget daily stuff, I already do on some level. So I send out a lot of stuff by mail every day. And by and large, I forget a lot of those things. But if somebody writes me and is like, hey, I did not yet get my package, even though if you had asked me yesterday, I would not have remembered. But when they ask me, where's my package? And I go look it up, like all the little details about what exactly it was packaged in and what it looked like and how big it was and how much it weighed, they all come flooding back to me, which I think is kind of amusing. But my brain is like, well, you clearly don't need it. Usually once the package is delivered, I've forgotten all about it. So I think that forgetting your own name is a really powerful thing. And I just want to say that if you are forgetting anything, if your unconscious mind lets you forget any little thing, you can, in fact, train yourself to forget specific things. I will say that I like the caveat that if it's really important that you need to know this, that it comes back to you when you need to know it. Um, so even if you didn't know you had forgotten it, if you needed that information, bam, it's right there. So sometimes you need the context. Like sometimes you need that, you need the idea of the scent. For some people, it might be the actual scent. I'm not very good at that. But maybe for some people, it might be like an image. For other people, it might be the sound. You hear the sound of, say, a church bell or a fire engine. To me, when I talk about those sounds, those bring back very, very specific memories for me as a child, because I grew up in a town with a fire station that I walked by every day on my way to school when I was a young kid. My town was inundated with churches. I grew up across the street from a church, and there were at least uh, 4 others that I can think of that I'm like, they're all popping into my head right now. Um, but I don't think about them on a regular basis, but they're in here. So when we talk about memories, like whether it's important or not, some things are just stuck in our heads, right? Could I forget those if I tried? Maybe, but they're tied into a lot of things, from when I was a kid. So I'm probably not gonna be able to forget all those things. And I'm not gonna try because it's not important for me to let that go. Anyway, so yeah. One of the things that I like, sometimes, I don't do this to everybody, but I have had friends who I stick them in trance, or they put themselves in trance, and they'll do like some kind of automatic writing, which I think is fascinating. The way that like the handwriting might deteriorate is kind of cool. But if you give somebody enough paper and enough writing implements and just let their unconscious mind write stuff, it can be utterly fascinating to read. Sometimes it's doodles, sometimes it's like cryptic quotes. I have a friend whose unconscious mind will write in song lyric type things some of the time. And all of this is stuff that their conscious self, when they are out of trance, looks at and goes, huh, I don't really know what that all means. And maybe their brain could figure that out. So, yeah, so the idea that you could start and stop recording something is kind of cool. I like that. Maybe we could play around with that today. I'm willing to do some of that. I think we could figure that out and see whose brains are up to that today. I think that would be a fun challenge. So, also, I want to tell you, Likens, that I really got into popcorn like a year ago. It was all popcorn all the time. I was trying all sorts of different kinds. I was trying all different ways of making popcorn, microwave, air popper, on the stove, mind control. No, not that last one. If I could pop popcorn with my mind, that would be pretty cool. You know, different kinds of oils, different kinds of seasonings, different recipes for making like the best. I've tried to make like a truffle white cheddar parmesan popcorn to match somebody else's recipe, and I haven't quite been able to have. No, I have plenty of popcorn. Trust. No, I have all. I could show you guys a picture. Maybe I'll post a picture later. But I have plenty of popcorn and accoutrement. I don't eat anymore, but I do eat it regularly because I just kind of addicted myself to it. I don't know why, but it's great. Yeah, all the pops are really fun. So let's think about the way we might want to. We'll see if that suggestion about recording what the trance is about, and then stopping the recording somewhere in the middle, and maybe having you do something. Like, I don't know what you guys are going to have with you. Like, probably not all of you have. Well, you might all have a computer with you. So maybe I could make you all write something down that you're unaware of. That's a favorite thing for me to do. Um, I don't know if I could do that for everybody, John, but I think some of you are quite capable of making that happen. Yeah, mind control popcorn. That sounds great. Um, yeah, so let me talk about the commercials because YouTube is going to start putting commercials in. They think that they know exactly how and when and where I can stop talking naturally, because that's the thing I do apparently. So YouTube is going to start monetizing some of my videos, apparently including live streams, and we'll just see what happens. If I had the ability to choose, I would put them all in at the beginning and none anywhere in the middle. So I'm just saying that because I hate the idea that that people might get interrupted in the middle of a trance time. So we'll just see how that goes. If it gets too obnoxious, I will just turn it all off. We'll see. Yeah, most people don't have premium, but that's okay. And also Brave very well may block them too. That's true. I use Brave on both of my computers. I guess this one and the one I normally use. So we'll see what happens. All right, so let's do some hypnosis. Let's see what happens to our brains when we try to forget something, right? So if that's our purpose, and if you are not okay with forgetting something, you don't have to forget anything. I want to be as clear as possible about that because even if the suggestion is an amnesia suggestion, your brain is still in charge. We're working on allowing your brain to remember and or forget whatever it pleases. But it's important that you know that you can accept the suggestion to do amnesia, you can reject it, and you can change it or adjust it in any way that makes the most sense for you. So if I suggest something and you're like, I'd like to forget something, but I want to forget this, you can try to figure out how that works. I will say, don't try to forget people. It's not the best thing to forget people or traumatic events. That's not how we do it. That's therapy. If you wanted therapy, I would suggest something else, and it wouldn't be in a group session here. But I can also help you out with figuring other things out later, but not right now. So if you want to forget stuff, that is like inconsequential or that doesn't matter for a short period of time, like your name or like a number or something like that. Or if you wanted to find yourself, for example, doing something, which I'm going to suggest, and then discovering that you've done a thing. I always think that's hot. I always think it's fun to find out later at some point in time that you have done a thing. So exciting that, to know that your brain has that capacity, right? Isn't that exciting for you to know that your brain has that capacity to remember or forget different kinds of things? Anyway, so here we go. So how about take a nice breath in. We'll start out with that. Get some good oxygen to your brain. You can keep your eyes open or closed, whatever works for you. And I'm going to count from 1 to 10. And with every number that gets higher and higher, allow your unconscious mind to come closer and closer to paying attention to the sound of my voice, to the things that I say. Even if you are already keenly paying attention to all the things that I was saying before, as your unconscious mind comes closer, you can know that your conscious self just sort of drifts off, right? Your conscious self doesn't have to be here. It perhaps doesn't want to be here. It can go away. It can go and do whatever. So as your unconscious self, and if we get interrupted, if you see another ad, you can also let that drop you down deeper too. Because it's not that important, right? 3. It's not that important to let that happen to your brain because there are other things that are far more important to let happen for you. And as your unconscious mind thinks about how good it feels to pay attention to the things that I say and to listen to the sound of my voice and to act on them, you'll notice that you just feel a little bit better and better. As you listen, as you find yourself responding, 5, whether or not you have your eyes open or closed, it doesn't really matter. I'm not showing anything flashy, even the ring that I have, there we go. Fancy ring, maybe a good time to just close your eyes. And drop. 6, dropping down deeper and deeper. 7, and feel how nice that is to surrender and give into that state of trance. 8, and the more you find yourself giving into that state of trance and that kind of surrender. 9 and 10, the more effortless it can be for your unconscious mind to go, oh, I'm paying attention now. The conscious self really doesn't need to be here at all. Because we're going to talk about amnesia. And your unconscious mind is going to do its very, very best. Whether you find that you are recording so that your conscious self later has an idea of what's going on, whether you find yourself using some other mechanism to allow yourself to consciously remember what happened in the state of trance, your unconscious mind is going to do its very best to put up a wall, to stop that recording, to banish your conscious self, or whatever method you have for remembering things. However, if you want to remember later, if you need to remember later, which the things I ask you to do, you may very well want, you can, but I'm going to ask you to allow yourself to be surprised if you can make that happen. If your unconscious mind can make you do a thing, and then can later show that to your conscious self in a way that surprises your conscious self. And I'm going to give you a couple suggestions. Let that happen. Because the fun of it is that your brain realizes what its abilities are, and as your unconscious mind thinks about what its abilities are, it's so powerful, right? I think it's so fascinating what somebody's unconscious minds can do. So if you're on your computer, I'm going to ask you at some point in time later, while you find yourself dropping down more and more deeply into trance now, your unconscious mind can know that it's okay for you to open your eyes. It's okay for you to move your body. It's okay for your conscious self to still be further and farther away. If your conscious self is like, oh my goodness, no, I need to come back, just let your unconscious mind go, no, it's okay. You really, really don't need to come back. You can stay over there. You can go on vacation. I'll take care of stuff. And I say this because your unconscious mind manipulates and operates your body all the time, every day. That's just what it does. Whether or not you're consciously aware of it, your unconscious self is here to move your body and to do things all day long. So you don't have to think about which muscles to move in order to do which things. Your unconscious mind just knows how to do these things already. So if you have been recording, whatever, I'm going to ask you to turn that off right now. And I'm going to ask your unconscious mind to do one of two things. Either send yourself an email with some kind of writing in there. Maybe just the words, I am deeply hypnotized. Maybe you take a picture of yourself sticking your tongue out or booping yourself on the nose. However you find yourself doing that, like writing a little note and emailing it off to yourself, or emailing yourself a photo, let your brain just do that. Let your unconscious mind just do those things, send it off, and then completely forget about it. While you find yourself dropping more deeply into trance, let your unconscious mind drop you down deeper into trance. You can do that thing, it can drop you deeper into trance. If you're writing yourself a little email, I am deeply hypnotized, every letter can drop you more deeply into trance. Remember, you're sending it off to yourself, no one else, just yourself. I am deeply hypnotized, bam, send it to yourself, and then you can forget all about it. You can put up a different screen. You could take a picture of yourself, send it off by email, forget all about it, right? Because these are things that you might do on a daily basis. You might take pictures of things and email them to somebody. You might send an email to somebody and kind of forget all about it, especially if it's just a reply to something, right? So you're sending these off to yourself. You're going to forget all about it. You're going to drop more deeply into trance while you do it. Isn't that fun to know that you can do things while you are in trance, and that act, whatever it is you find yourself doing, can deepen the state of trance you're in? And then when you're done, you just sink even deeper. And of course you want to go deeper, because going deeply into trance feels amazing. And going more deeply into trance allows your unconscious mind to explore new areas that you have not yet explored in your brain. I mean, maybe you've gone deeply into trance at some point in time before. Let's do something else, one of my other favorite things. When you have made one of those two things happen, if you're allowing yourself to experience more amnesia today, when you've made those things happen, allow yourself to drop deeply into trance, even more deeply into trance, right? Maybe your eyes are open, maybe they're not. But allow your unconscious mind to simply let one of your hands and arms feel very, very light and to just rise up in the air, right? So as you go more deeply into trance, that hand and that arm just begin to rise up more and more easily, more and more effortlessly. The deeper you go, the more your hand just rises up into the air. And as that hand and arm rise up into the air, you drop down more deeply into trance. Your hand and arm go more deeply into trance. They rise up in the air, you go more deeply into trance, right? And at some point in time, your hand and your arm are reaching for the ceiling, and you are very deeply in trance. In fact, by the time your hand and your arm are reaching for the ceiling, maybe your fingers are stretching up, reaching for that ceiling, you can find that you are at the deepest level of trance you've ever been in, or as near to that as you can find yourself getting today. And while you're there, your unconscious mind can then begin to clear out even more space. Let your unconscious mind clear out more space in your unconscious mind, in the infinity of the universe of your unconscious mind. Your unconscious can clear out more space, someplace you've never been or you haven't been in a long time, maybe a space you've forgotten about. If you go to a place you've forgotten about, allow your unconscious mind to hold on to that, and when you remember that space that you've been to, because we're going to go there in just a sec, you can share that with your conscious self, but nothing else right yet. And then on the count of 3, you're going to drop your hand and arm gently into your lap, just like I'm going to drop my hand and arm gently into my lap, and you can find yourself going even more deeply into trance, into one of those new old spaces that you were thinking about just now unconsciously. So 1, 2, 3. And notice that it feels really good to let yourself drop down more deeply into trance than you've ever been before. Maybe you've been there once a long, long time ago, and you can imagine the space, and your unconscious self can share it with your conscious self, whether that feeling of being so deeply in trance, whether it's that feeling that you are deeper in trance than you've ever been before, or you've gone to some place new. However your brain does that, hold on to that. Notice that it feels really good. Share that with your conscious self. And then let your conscious self know only that. Let your conscious self know how deeply in trance you were. Focus on every single feeling that for you is what this trance was about, so that your conscious self knows when I bring you back up that you have gone so deeply into trance. Maybe your eyes opened at some point in time, your eyes are already open and you saw your hand rise up or fall back down. However you did it is totally cool. Totally cool. And when you finally discover what it is that you've done, let it be a total and complete conscious surprise. Let your unconscious mind hold on to that information. Keep it like it's a secret. If it was important, you'll need to know and you'll get it back. But if it's just something that you don't need to know right away, find yourself discovering it and discover how fun it is to let all your senses go. Oh my God, I did this. When did I do this? I was in the middle of I did this while I was in trance. Let your brain have that fun moment of surprise, of amnesia, of delight, of discovering that you can do a thing, however you found yourself doing it. And notice that your brain gets better and better at doing that every single next time. So hold on to that thought. Go ahead and come back up all the way, wide awake on the count of 10, feeling better and better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, all the way back up. Take a moment, breathe in, let your conscious thought come back to you. Let your unconscious mind sit down in the background, doing its stuff. Thank you for being here, unconscious mind. And when you're ready, you can come back and say hi. Let me know that you're back. Let me know what you experienced, what you remember, what you don't remember. If you talk about things that you remember, your brain can just appreciate what it's like to get better at doing hypnosis, to get better at doing amnesia, or whatever the little phenomena are. No one knows what you're doing, Kate. It's totally fine. You're just getting some interesting kind of stretch going on, you know. Right. So, whenever you discover your thing, if you discover it soon, let me know how you think about it. John, I love that response. Yes, it's very casual. This is very casual. I'm yeah, very, very. It makes a lot of sense. A wall of bricks. Oh, that's very good, John. I like the way that people discover their brain does amnesia. Oh, well, that's not a surprise at all. Like and Marcus, I think that is also pretty good. I think that's pretty good. In fact, I'm pretty sure that if you participated, everyone did a pretty good job. So, and I just want to let you know that no matter what anyone else has done, you have to thank yourself for doing such a good job. I'm going to thank your brains for participating and doing such a good job, no matter what happened in the middle. I know, I love Boop. And I'm not encouraging anyone to say that in the trance at all. No, that would be cruel to someone in here. But now I keep thinking about you every time I do that with the kitty cat. I will not bring the cat in with me because the cat is not the most social of creatures. And the dragon, I would love to show her off, but her tolerance for people is minimal. Have a good time mowing that lawn. Talk to you later. All right, so sorry it's a little shorter than normal today, folks, but I'm gonna have to work on getting this computer set up all good. I'll probably be back not next Sunday, but I will try to have something for you next week. But the 12th, I will be back. Yay! Moderate amnesia success is good enough. Again, we'll keep working on it. We'll do more amnesia and we'll see what happens. I will have the tentacles suck your thoughts out of your brain, and then you will be like, I don't remember a thing. They're all gone. The octopus has them. Yes, suddenly waking up often does help you forget a thing because you've been interrupted in the middle. um, so, John, if you want to remember, you should have remembered. You can remember that you took the photo. You can remember that you were deeply in trance. That was good. We'll keep working on amnesia stuff. I have other things that I'd like to do with you guys, but amnesia is always like top of my list. So, yeah. So, so I'm gonna go soon. So if you are not yet awake, I'm gonna count up to 10 again, so everyone can be as awake as they need to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice deep breath. 9, little stretching. 10, wide awake. Feel as good as you possibly can. I'll be back on the 12th. I'll try to have something for you in the middle so that while I'm gone, you can have something to distract yourself with. But in the meantime, let your brain just know that it feels really good to go deeply in trance, that you're getting better and better at it every single time, and that you're amazing. And I look forward to hearing about what you're done or seeing what you've done. So, bye, everyone.